And you should come up with something that perhaps looks a little bit like this. And you put your results in the boxes. So you need to have the number of people that received the email in that first box. And then in the box next to it, you need to have the number of people who achieved your goal. And then it will calculate the conversion rate for both emails, and it will tell you whether that happened by chance or whether it was something that actually is repeatable. It's a genuine improvement. So it's very, very important. I've had cases where I've seen an improvement immediately when I've sent out an email. So, you know, the early birds have all jumped on within an hour, and it looks like one email is performing better than another. And then I come back to it 24 hours later, and the other email has actually won, and it's been statistically significant. So make sure before you make a decision, before you think you've proved your hypothesis, that that it is indeed, that you've checked it is statistically significant. Now, there is a temptation with split testing to go along to talks like this one and learn what worked for other people and then apply it to your own list. However, no two lists are exactly the same. Your list may look superficially similar, but in reality, the people who have found their way onto that list are really different types of people and motivated by different things. Now, when I was in the process of making this slide, I thought, I'm not sure if I should be doing this. I mean, I think it's really unkind to be to take the rip out of chimpanzees like that. So, just so you know, this isn't all ego. A friend of mine once told me that I looked rather like a famous video game character. And so I thought you might have to evaluate the difference yourself. Anyway, that diversion over with. Let's say you've never done a split test before. What should you do? You have this kind of accumulated wisdom from your organisation about what works best. You don't really know where that's come from. It could be Joe, who worked in your department 10 years ago and fought very strongly to have an email newsletter sent out every 2 months that covered 10 different subjects and went to everybody on the list. And your organisation has just kind of kept on plodding on with that, and everybody's quite happy and with the status quo. But what should you test in order to try and figure out whether that is the optimum solution for you? Now, I would say if you've never done any split testing before, what you want to do is just go for a big change. And normally, I advise people, split test what you already do against what people like me are telling you is best practice. And then you can see whether the organisation's intuition is right or is sort of on the right track. Now, I've done this a number of times, and I would say in 3 out of 4 cases, best practice wins, hands down. But there are occasions when I've done this and I thought this organisation is in a mess. They don't know what they're doing. They're sending out all this really weird stuff, and then I split test it, and the weird stuff really works, and I go away with my tail between my legs. So this just shows you how important split testing is. But do try this thing first, because not only do you get really a large difference, it's very likely to be statistically significant. You then have a solid basis on which to form new hypotheses and test, well, you know, maybe best practice is sending emails once a week rather than once a month. But could there be something about that old newsletter that did work? Could we try split testing 2 columns in the email rather than 1, something like that? So here are some things for you to try. If you've already gone through that step and you've maybe done a review and you think, what else what else is it that could help our newsletter or our email series to work better as a whole? So the name of the email sender actually is hugely, hugely important to every aspect of your email communications, because that's the thing that will enable someone to trust email enough to open it. So I've seen huge differences in click-through rates based on simply the name of the email sender. Now, best practice there is to have name of person and then in brackets name of organisation. But you may find that something else entirely different works best for you. And it may work differently on different lists, so it's a good thing to try. Try using an email with an image versus an email with no image at all. Try taking a big gulp and testing HTML against plain text. Try having a really short message with a link versus a much longer message with a link. Try experimenting with the subject line. Does it work best if you have a newsletter in square brackets and then the subject of the email? Does a one-word subject line work really well? Does it work if you personalise the subject line? What about type of greeting? Is it better to use dear so-and-so or hi so-and-so or something else entirely? What about your call to action text? If you're inviting someone to click on a link, does click here work better? Everyone uses that, but is it really, really good received wisdom? Maybe a button would work better than a link in your email. Or what about having a bare URL as your link versus actual instruction text for clicking? These are all things that I think you could try with interesting increases in your results.